And I saw you in Winnipeg, or in Toronto for that Doo Ho Choi fight. We'll talk about that in a bit. Obviously, it was an incredible fight. Your last 3 fights, to me, you've just never looked better as far as performance. Do you feel that's the case?
Yeah, well, basically, we went back to the drawing board. You know, I took a year off. I realized that my passion had kind of been taken away just because of like the politics and getting lost in that. And you know, it happens. You get to a point in your career where it's like, what, you know, after doing it for so long, you have to remember why it is you're doing what you're doing. So I was able to kind of fall back in love with the sport and really get to the roots of what made it enjoyable for me. And then going back to, okay, let's try to be the best version of myself. And then, you know, every fight we took it one step at a time. With Hakran Diaz, we wanted to be precise, shut down his game. It wasn't my most exciting fight. There were some exciting moments, but I was trying to accomplish something. I did that, and then every fight I've tried to progress. So this fight, you know, is going to be hard to top the Doo Ho Choi fight. But I'm trying to once again show another level up. You know.
When you said you have to go back to remembering what it was that you fell in love with the sport, when you really broke that down and zeroed in on your why you do this, what was it? What did you find?
Well, it's, you know, people put this thing on you that being the champion is, that's when other people kind of say, okay, now you're great, you know, if you become the champ. But the reality of it is that you could have a great career and never fight for the title. And you know, I've been doing this 13 years. I've never fought for one title in a small organization, a big organization. But I've always been fighting top people. I've always been giving fans great fights. I rarely have a boring fight. So, like, to me, it's like, if I'm really concentrating on that belt, it's something that may never come just because of lack of opportunity or just timing, you know. So those are things I can't control.
Belts, titles, rankings, money, all those things are kind of mechanisms that seem to be there for people who don't understand the purity of the fight itself. It's there to sell things.
Yeah.
And that's not what you fight for.
Yeah.
You know, fighting is something else to you.
My number one goal when I started this was I wanted to be able to like have grandkids one day and tell them like, oh, I used to be pretty tough. You know, that was my original thought, like that'd be a cool story. And then it went on to, you know, once I really put a lot of time into it, it became, what's the best version of myself I could become after like getting away from getting into trouble and drugs and being around gangs and things like that. It was like, okay, I did that. Now let's see how good of a person in everyday life and how great of a martial artist I could be. I wanted to let this sport kind of transition me into a better person overall and the best martial artist. And so that has always been my goal.
Before that year off, whether it was your perspective or just what you were feeling at the time, was that a plateau? Was that a moment where you plateaued and then you had to find your way to a new base again?
Yeah, well, I mean, I got to a point where I thought I was at my peak, and then something was lacking, and just me putting my concentration into an end that really wasn't what I really wanted. It was what other people wanted. Just took the passion away, and then when you start to make mistakes or hit bumps in the road, they're bigger than they seem because you're not happy. So taking that time off, diving deep and rediscovering your love for the sport and going, okay, I have a clear mind of what it is I'm trying to accomplish. And that's just me being the best and being able to look back at video and go, man, I nailed that. Man, that was beautiful, rather than I won this or I won that. It's just about, going into this sport at the highest level and making these techniques look flawless.
This question is going to come up a lot. I know you're going to be a dad shortly. And close friends that you've had, I'm sure close friends that I've had that become a father, they say that it changes the meaning of things. When you're cooking dinner, it means something different now. Yeah. When you are going to work, it means it represents something different. Do you think that the meaning of what you do in the cage could change when you become a father?
Oh, definitely. I'm looking forward to it. This is I've been selfish with my time because this is a passion I always wanted to pursue with everything I had. I didn't want to look back and say, man, if I would have gave a little bit more effort. Yeah, I've literally given everything to the sport since I was 20 years old. And I'm 33 now, so I feel like enough time has passed where I've given all my attention to myself, and I'm ready to take on a new role and be a father and pass on what knowledge I have to somebody else and continue to be better because of that. So it's an obstacle that I'm very excited to have and you know, see what happens from it.
And at this stage, really, and it's your last year or year and a half has really shown this. It's about you ultimately on fight night. You know that,
Yeah.
right? If you are you at your best or at the best you can be in that moment, you're going to win, or you're going to have a fantastic performance. How are you able to make sure that you are that on the
You know, visualizing, you know, a lot of just focusing on what's important. You know, you know that I work with a sports psychologist. It's not something I talk about that often, but yeah, it's something I've really learned is to visualize and just not let any little thing get me off the track of what's you know most important, because fight week is so many distractions to keep you you know, distract you from what's the primary goal. You know, with Duho Choi, it was simple tactics that I needed to accomplish in the first round. That way they could pay dividends in the third round, and they did. And if I had distractions or let distractions get to me, I would have went out there and just fought and maybe not have done those things that I needed to do, and maybe that tide would have shifted towards him. So you never know.
It's a strange thing to observe and analyze near optimum performance, because you're not thinking and yet you're very decisive in a fight, right?
Yeah.
To be optimally performing, you're not thinking, but you're very decisive. And is that different than, you know, other types of performance when you're in a fight? The pressure is there, all these people are looking, but all of that can be meaningless if you're an optimum performance.
Yeah, well, the biggest thing is you're going to make a decision. It's not always the right one, and this is true in life and business about everything, but you have to make a decision. Any hesitation is what's going to get you hurt. So if I hesitate, I don't know if I should go for this or not, that's going to get you hurt. But going, I'm doing this, okay, that didn't work, next time I'll do this. You know, just making decisive decisions in the moment, that's like the biggest thing.
And so this fight, you don't go in that you must win it or you must perform a certain way, but you're looking at it like the most important fight you've had, 5 rounds, main event. When you're on a roll, this is a fight you need to be at your best.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is I expect me to be at my best every time. I'm expecting progression in myself. If I'm not progressing, then I shouldn't be here. So, you know, there are times that you're not going to have your best performance, and it might be whatever reason, but you know, that's my whole goal is to go out there and just be the best version of myself, and that should get me the win, and that should be enough, and I'll be satisfied with that.